Thanks so much for looking in. I wanted to take a quick moment here and talk about funding in our education system. I know that some people are frustrated about it, but there's another part of this conversation that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and that is funding is only effective if it is managed responsibly. How is the money actually being spent? That matters too. It's completely fair to ask that question, especially when we're hearing about cuts and increasing pressure on the front lines. Right now, there appears to be a real and growing disconnect between financial decisions made at the senior leadership level in school boards and the reality facing schools, educators, and students every day. So I wanted to take a few minutes to walk through some real examples because this is information most people simply aren't aware of, and we all should be, because with a funding crisis, why would a school board in the Sudbury area approve a $70,000 raise for its director of education? A 36% increase in just 3 years, and even after inflation, that's a 22% real increase. And note, this school board serves under 6,000 students. How does that make sense? Ontario operates under a provincial executive compensation framework for school boards, and that framework looks at factors like board size, organizational complexity, and executive salaries that are benchmarked against other public sector organizations, things like universities, colleges, EQAO, and government leadership. But here's a very important part of that. Local school boards ultimately decide where a director's salary lands within that approved range. Using publicly available data from OntarioSunshineList.com, our HSA contributing partner, SchoolBoardResearch.ca, analyzed Director of Education salaries across the province for leaders who held their roles from 2021 to 2024. By the way, they have a full breakdown on their website. But you have to see this. Look at the London District Catholic School Board. Over 2 years, this director's salary rose by $57,000. That's a 29% increase. After inflation, pay still increased by more than 22%. It is also worth noting that an earlier analysis of this very board also identified compliance failures in some of the core safe school policies. That is very important because that directly impacts the safety of your child. The Upper Canada District School Board. In about 2 years, this director received a $55,000 raise, a 24% increase. Again, even after inflation, that's nearly 18% of real growth. And here's another, the Grand Erie District School Board. Over 2 years, the director's salary increased by almost $49,000 a year. That's a 23% raise. After inflation, pay still rose by more than 16%. Then we have the Niagara Catholic District School Board. Over 3 years, this director's salary rose by nearly $50,000. And look at the Simcoe Muskoka Catholic District School Board. In 3 years, this director's salary increased by $52,000. The yearly salary now, $315,000. In every case, executive pay increased faster than inflation. All approved by the school boards, and none of these increases are directly tied to student outcomes, school safety, or performance metrics. This raises some fair questions about fiscal accountability. When boards face deficits, layoffs, and safety pressures, how should executive pay be aligned with public priorities? And let's remember here, this is only the salary. It does not include benefits or the pensions, which is a whole other tier. Now, this is not about one person. It's about a pattern, and that pattern raises serious questions about executive leadership decisions. Where is the funding going, and who is it really serving? What outcomes justify that level of compensation when so many students are still below grade level in reading and math? So yes, let's talk about increasing funding, but only if there's real accountability for how it's spent. Protecting top senior salaries while cutting supports in classrooms doesn't solve the crisis, it deepens it. For the Whole Schools Accountable Parent Network, I'm Anwar Knight. Thanks for watching.